Imagine a world where winter isn't a season to endure, but a battle for survival. No thermostat, no insulated walls, no grocery delivery. Just endless cold, gnawing hunger, and the constant threat of death. For our ancestors in medieval Europe, winter was a merciless adversary. It reshaped their lives, tested their limits, and forged a resilience we can barely comprehend today. Prepare to journey back to a time when survival itself was a triumph. Centuries ago, the rhythms of life were dictated by nature's brutal hand. While not every medieval winter was equally severe, a significant climatic shift, known as the Little Ice Age, plunged Europe into a protracted period of extreme cold, lasting from the 14th to the 19th century. This wasn't merely a few extra frosty mornings, it was an era of unprecedented hardship. Crops failed year after year, livestock perished in the biting winds, and icy blasts cut through homes, no matter how grand. One stark example of this period's fury was the Great Frost of 1709. Temperatures plummeted so low that vast rivers and lakes froze solid. In London, the mighty River Thames became a temporary highway, bustling with markets, fairs, and even fires lit directly on the ice. A surreal sight, yet one born of desperation, as countless souls succumbed to the relentless cold. It's a testament to human ingenuity to adapt, but also a grim reminder of winter's power. Even during these dark times, moments of unexpected insight could arise. A young scholar, then a student at the University of Cambridge, was sent home to his family's farm during the Great Frost. Huddled by a meager fire, he found himself with ample time to ponder the universe's mysteries. This enforced solitude sparked some of his most groundbreaking ideas, laying the groundwork for his theories on calculus and optics. Sometimes, even the most oppressive conditions can foster brilliance. For the vast majority, medieval winter was not a time for scholarly pursuits, but an unrelenting fight for life. Picture a peasant family waking in a one-room cottage. The air is thick with smoke from a sputtering fire, their breath visible in the frigid air. They rise from straw mattresses, careful not to disturb shivering family members huddled close for warmth. The cold seeps through every crack, numbing fingers and toes until they ache. Breakfast, if they were lucky, might be a thin bowl of pottage or stale bread, the last remnants of the autumn harvest. Food stores were dwindling, a terrifying certainty of scarcity in the months ahead. Livestock too suffered, their coats matted with frost as they huddled together in barns. Daily tasks like gathering firewood were backbreaking work, hands quickly becoming raw and chapped. Without fire, there was no survival. For countless families, this brutal reality was an annual ordeal. Even the nobility, sequestered in their formidable stone castles, faced significant challenges. These grand structures, while imposing, were notoriously drafty. Massive quantities of firewood were needed to fuel roaring hearths, and vigilant servants worked tirelessly to seal cracks and gaps. Yet the cold often prevailed. One chilling account tells of Queen Annelise of Saxony, said to have tragically perished from exposure in her own palace in 1326, a stark reminder that even privilege offered no absolute immunity. The logistics of feeding and warming a large royal court were staggering, an ongoing struggle against the elements. Hunger was an ever-present specter, casting a long shadow over medieval winters. When crops failed or early frosts struck, food shortages quickly escalated into devastating famines. The Great Famine of 1315, triggered by relentlessly heavy rains that rotted crops across northern Europe, painted a harrowing picture. Contemporary accounts describe desperate people resorting to eating dogs, horses, and even the bark off trees. In cities like Ypres and Bruges, a quarter of the population perished. A citizen in the French town of Trefez recorded in his diary the grim reality. The poor were eating unclean things. This period saw parents making the agonizing choice to smother starving children as an act of mercy, and corpses too numerous for burial littered streets and fields. This infamous famine, though exceptional in its scale, underscored a constant menace. Foraging for winter nutrients meant scouring the stark landscape for nettles, wild garlic, and mushrooms. A typical pottage, bland and monotonous, might contain peas, beans, and salted pork, barely enough to sustain body and soul. The medieval diet was a tightrope walk between subsistence and starvation, a constant battle against scarcity. Every scrap of food was precious, every harvest a matter of life and death. The arrival of winter brought with it a gnawing unease, a prayer that the meager stores would last until spring. Beyond hunger and cold, disease was a rampant killer, especially in the cramped, unsanitary conditions of medieval winter. Respiratory illnesses were particularly brutal. Influenza, a fearsome foe, struck down young and old with its telltale fever and chills. In an age without vaccines or effective treatments, outbreaks like the virulent strain that swept Paris in 1557, claiming over 10,000 lives, could decimate communities. Pneumonia, a silent killer, preyed on those weakened by cold and malnutrition, often claiming multiple family members. Children were the most vulnerable. Harsh weather, meager rations, and poor sanitation made winter a perilous time for the young. In 16th century London, fully half of all children never reached their 5th birthday. The poignant custom of bone lace, where a black ribbon was tied to a seriously ill infant's hand to later secure their burial shroud, speaks volumes about winter's deadly toll on the most innocent. Even royalty was not spared. King Edward tragically lost his beloved Queen Catherine to postnatal complications, likely exacerbated by the poor hygiene of the age. The most catastrophic disease to strike medieval Europe was the Black Death in the mid-14th century. Historians believe the plague spread with such ferocity partly because malnourished citizens, packed together in winter quarters, had little resistance. From 1348 to 1349, it annihilated 30 to 60% of Europe's population. Master Luca of Pistoia, Italy, wrote to his brother, "Many are dead, and many more are dying. I fear our city may soon be empty of life entirely." The suffering was compounded by hasty mass burials in frigid ground, and the sick left to die alone in the snow, forever altering the medieval world. Winter's grip extended to every aspect of life, making travel a perilous undertaking. Roads dissolved into muddy quagmires or vanished under blinding blizzards. With scarce daylight, travelers risked becoming disoriented and succumbing to a frozen grave. In 1311, Queen Isabella of England, pregnant and exhausted, lost her way with her party while traveling from Canterbury to London in the deepening winter twilight, highlighting the dangers even for the privileged. Working animals also suffered immensely. Horses and oxen, gaunt from meager winter feed, labored through knee-deep snow, their breaths steaming in the chill. Frostbite blackened extremities, and ice cracked hooves and wheel spokes. Yet warfare, too, adapted to the season. The winter of 1407 saw an astonishing military feat when the Welsh rebel leader Owain Glyndwr faced the superior forces of future King Henry V. Amidst a blinding blizzard in high mountain passes, Glyndwr's men, hardened by the brutal conditions, lured the heavily armored English into a trap. Many English perished from exposure, leading to Glyndwr's stunning victory, won as much by winter's fury as by Welsh prowess. The raw power of nature unleashed by winter often brought devastation. In 1216, King Aldred of England supposedly lost his crown jewels in the Wash, a marshy area in East Anglia, when a surging high tide, whipped up by gales, swallowed his baggage train. He escaped, but the priceless treasure vanished, and he died of dysentery days later, a broken man. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle records a terrible flood in 1099 and another in 1219 that submerged the low-lying Netherlands, killing over 50,000 people. With no early warning systems, communities were utterly at the mercy of the elements. Paradoxically, the need for warmth often brought another devastating threat: fire. In packed wooden cities and towns, a single spark could ignite a raging inferno, devouring clustered buildings and lives. The Great Fire of London in 1212, starting on a cold November night, swept through the city's cramped lanes as water froze in the pipes. An estimated 3,000 Londoners perished, leaving thousands homeless in winter's icy grip. With limited firefighting technology, citizens could only pray the wind would shift before their entire city burned. Beyond these acute dangers, the constant, inescapable cold was a relentless adversary. Without central heating or thermal fabrics, the bone-chilling damp seeped into the very marrow of medieval people. Arthritis and rheumatism were rampant. Extremities slowly went numb, then black with frostbite. The cold seemed to drain all energy, turning exhalations to frost and numbing limbs. The 6th century British monk Gildas grimly described winter. The nights are long and dark, the days dreary and chill. The air bites with malice, the icy blasts cut to the bone. For the elderly and frail, winter was a time of dread, a hopeless feeling that warmth might never return. Despite winter's relentless misery, the human spirit found ways to endure, to connect, and even to celebrate. The passing of the seasons was marked by rituals and festivities that offered glimmers of light. Socially, winter was a time for drawing inwards, relying on the bonds of family and community. People gathered around hearths, telling stories, singing songs, and engaging in simple crafts like sewing or whittling. For the literate, it was a chance to read aloud from a precious Bible, a book of hours, or tales of King Arthur and Robin Hood, transporting listeners beyond their cold confines. Public houses buzzed with activity, offering fellowship, ale, and escape from the bitter cold. Gambling with dice was a popular pastime, often leading to boisterous scenes. The church also offered solace, with more time devoted to prayer, penance, and good works during the agricultural lull. Pilgrimages were sometimes undertaken, a testament to deep devotion in harsh conditions. Charity was a vital winter value, with almsgiving a Christian duty. Small gestures of kindness, like sharing firewood or a pot of stew, could mean the difference between life and death. Perhaps the most vibrant beacon of hope was the midwinter feast of St. Stephen, celebrated each year on December 26th. For a brief, riotous moment, social hierarchies were inverted, and a commoner might be crowned the Lord of Misrule. This temporary inversion provided a vital pressure valve, allowing peasants and lords alike to partake in raucous celebrations, feasting, and general merriment. One can imagine the peals of laughter as a lowly peasant jokingly commanded a local baron. It was a rare indulgence, a powerful symbol of community and shared humanity that defied winter's oppression. As the long, cold months dragged on, hope remained etched in frosty breaths and fervent prayers. The medieval world understood that no matter how brutal winter's reign, spring would eventually return. They watched for the first signs with practiced eyes, the slight lengthening of the days, the subtle softening of the earth beneath the snow. The feast of St. Valentine on February 14th brought a welcome reprieve, a bright spot of warmth and tenderness at winter's heart. This ancient fertility rite, Christianized into a celebration of love, saw eligible lads and lasses drawing names for sweethearts, exchanging tokens of affection, and finding joy even in the chilliest weather. It was a powerful reminder that human connection could not be frozen by winter's ice. When the thaw finally began, it was met with unimaginable joy and reverence. Plough Monday, traditionally the first Monday after Epiphany, marked the official end of winter's grip on the land. Ploughs, idle for months, were blessed in elaborate ceremonies, symbolizing the renewed cycle of life. Farmers, Owen and his family, along with other villagers, would eagerly begin cutting the first furrows into the thawing earth, a palpable sense of relief and gratitude in the air. they had endured. The sight of snowdrops and crocuses pushing through the melting frost was a miracle, tangible evidence that winter's icy rain was finally weakening. The land stirred, green shoots pushing towards the sun, and voices joined in ancient songs celebrating the cuckoo's return and the blooming meadows. The immense fortitude required to endure winter after winter, year after arduous year, is almost unimaginable to us today.
Our modern world, with its central heating, electric blankets, and well-stocked larders, can scarcely fathom the unremitting brutality of a medieval winter. When we grumble about a delayed train or a slushy sidewalk, we might do well to reflect on the immense strength and tenacity of our ancestors. They faced a constant battle against hunger, disease, and the elements, yet found moments of celebration, fellowship, and unwavering hope. Their ability to not only withstand winter's ravages, but to find slivers of light in the all-encompassing darkness is a testament to the indomitable spirit that slumbers within us all. They showed us that even in the darkest times, the human spirit has a way of seeking out the light, of finding hope in the promise of spring. So, the next time winter's chill bites, remember those who came before. Remember their struggles and triumphs, their sorrows and joys. They endured with a strength and fortitude that is nothing short of remarkable. They left us a legacy of resilience that echoes down through the ages, a powerful reminder that no matter how dark the night or how cold the wind, the promise of spring is always waiting just around the corner. We are the heirs of their unbreakable spirit, and in their story, we find the courage to face our own seasons of hardship. Winter may come, but spring will always follow.